Raider Nation, good morning. It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we got some pretty big news that I thought that I had to discuss this morning. According to Vic Tafur from The Athletic, the Las Vegas Raiders are expected to release cornerback Marcus Peters at some point this week. And I'm not going to lie, I know that Peters has really been struggling, especially in the effort game, and he was benched yesterday against the Kansas City Chiefs, but an outright cut I do think is a pretty surprising move overall, and I do think we're going to get some more information out on why the Raiders are possibly going to be moving on from Peters, but no matter what, that's what I'm here for. I know yesterday's game was a rough game from, I shouldn't say start to finish, because the first quarter, the Raiders might be the best first quarter team in the NFL. But anytime that Raiders news breaks, man, I promise this, I got you covered. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications. That way, anytime I drop a video, you don't miss it. So coming up here on the show, I got a few quotes that I have found from surfing the web. Got a few quotes from Tafur, got a few other ones here, and I've tried to reach out to a few players this morning. I think everyone's still a little bit sleepy from yesterday's game, but we'll kind of go into some of the details here about Peters, why he was brought into this team in the offseason, and whatnot. So according to Vic Tafur, Antonio Pierce benched cornerback Marcus Peters midway through the second quarter after the latest Olay on a tackle attempt by the veteran. The two had a brief exchange on the sideline at halftime before Pierce walked away, and Peters watched the second half by himself wearing a beanie. I mean, let's not get it twisted here. It is a joke amongst Raider Nation right now. I know I've said it a bunch of times. I know everybody who's watching this video has probably said it a bunch of times. Marcus Peters' effort in terms of tackling is the worst in the NFL that I have seen in quite some time. I mean, there's making business decisions. There's just saying, hey, I'm not going to try to tackle that guy. But what I can't stand is when a player doesn't give effort. And sure, Peters was not really signed on this team to be a big-time tackler. He was made to be a ball hawk corner, to cause a lot of turnovers. But last time I checked, Peters' game was also part of forcing fumbles and, being that physical leader, being that guy that has a lot of swagger. And I'm sorry, Marcus Peters has the least amount of swagger on this defense right now, and it's because he's playing like a little bitch. I mean, he is. I know that he can be a good player. Everybody knows that he can be a good player. Also, say what's up to Chuck. He's a little jealous from y'all. But everybody knows what type of player he was. That's why we were all super excited when Peters was signed to the Raiders this offseason. He was an Oakland guy. He was born a Raider fan, and he was talking all this, oh, he's going to wear that shield with pride. And, I mean, he looked like he was wearing the shield with pride. But, man, over the past few weeks, the effort has not been there. We can all agree on that, right? We can all agree that the effort isn't there. But to just outright cut him and decide to move in a different direction, I mean, you're going to be putting a lot of stress on some other players. And if anything, I'll tell you which player that I believe is now going to have maybe the biggest chance that he has ever had. But what I want to know from all y'all right now is it the right decision to cut Marcus Peters? Now, I do have to mention, there has been no news yet that has come out that has said, hey, the Raiders are cutting Peters. All I am simply telling you right now is that there was a report from Vic Tafur saying that the Raiders could potentially cut him today. They could potentially cut him yesterday because of his actions, not trying to tackle, and the blow-up, if you will, he had with Antonio Pierce. So I want to know down below, yes or no, is it the right move for the Las Vegas Raiders to cut Marcus Peters? My answer is this. If Marcus Peters is going to act like a little baby and he's going to act like a little bitch on the sidelines and he's going to sit there, pout, and cry, then the answer to me in this one is very, very simple. Yes, you move on from him. Now, I wasn't there yesterday on the sidelines. I don't know what was said. Nobody really knows what was said. All I know is that the entire second half, Peters was nowhere to be found after being benched, and he was also not there for his teammates. You guys know how I am. I'm a big, as a team sport guy. It's why you're moving on from Roderick Teamer as well. You cut Roderick Teamer's ass after he got in trouble for the night before the Chiefs game, getting drunk and then getting a DUI, considering all the shit that happened 2 years ago with Henry Ruggs. That's just inexcusable. It's a slap in the Tinter family's face for Roderick Teamer to do something like that. That's why you move on from him. Now you got Marcus Peters here on this other hand that was supposed to be a leader on this team. And if that's how your leaders are acting, that's not what a leader is. You move on from him. You keep it moving. If you got a guy like Max Crosby who was doubtful, didn't even know if he was going to play, and thugged it out, went out there and gave it his best effort. We all know Max Crosby wasn't healthy, but guess what? He did it anyway. Those are the type of players I want on my team. Robert Spillane breaking his hand, still going out there after getting stitched up. Those are the type of players I want on my team. Those are the players that Antonio Pierce wants on his team. And if that's not what Marcus Peters is going to be, then yeah, I'm sorry. It's time to keep it moving. It's time to keep stepping. Now, I do got to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. And even though my picks yesterday, man, I wish I would have hit because I took Patrick Mahomes at 260.5 passing yards. I took the less. Sometimes I put my Raiders glasses on. That one didn't hit. My touchdown for Jacobs ended up hitting. Devontae Adams had 5 catches in the first quarter, I think. I took him at 5.5. I needed 6, so I didn't get that one either. And then Aiden O'Connell, I got the more on the passing yards. But even though I lost, it's always fun to play. And if anybody's watching Monday Night Football tonight, you want to go throw around like $10, chance to win like 100, you can absolutely go do so. But all I ask is that you take advantage of the deal that I'm going to tell you all. It's also going to be down in the description and down in the comments on today's show. So it's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Think of Prize Picks as daily fantasy sports made easy. And if you're planning on watching a game like during Thanksgiving, I watched all 3 football games, put down $10 on each game. And yeah, I ended up winning my money back, but I still had a hell of a time doing it. So again, if you want to go get started, $100 deposit bonus. If you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS. All right, again here. So again, the latest report is that the Raiders are expected to move on from Marcus Peters after a little bit of a blow-up with Antonio Pierce and a lack of effort against Kansas City, and the lack of effort has been piling on. This one is also according to Logan Reever, okay? Marcus Peters was standing alone at the 50 during the drive, stayed there while the rest of the defense met on the bench after giving up the score. Peters and Antonio Pierce dapped each other up before halftime, but looks like there was some disagreement in the conversation. So, I don't know, but I am starting to go in here now, and I'm starting to be able to find some interesting videos of this entire situation with Antonio Pierce. When Antonio Pierce was asked why Peters got benched, he said it was a coach's decision. And, I'm looking at the video right now of Peters sitting on the sidelines. It's a bad look, man. It's a really bad look. Amik Robertson said, I know we're the better than that team. We got more dogs. Oh, boy, Amik. People will be talking about that. But, yeah, again, I'm looking at this video here of Marcus Peters standing on the sidelines. It's a bad look. Man, you got your entire defense on one side, and then you're over there pouting. I will never like that type of stuff. So, anyway, the few players that this is really going to impact, obviously now Amik Robertson's going to be thrown into, an even bigger role because yesterday Jacorian Bennett was a healthy scratch. Like, that's how bad Jacorian Bennett has been. Really, you want to talk about the McDaniels and Ziegler draft picks in general, they have not been doing all that well. Sure, Michael Mayer has been growing into his own, but besides him, yeah, man, I don't know what to think about the guys that they've been drafting because it has not worked so far. That I can promise you. It's been bad. But anyway, Amik Robertson, he's going to have to get more playing time. But the big one is Jack Jones. Jack Jones got some reps yesterday. Sure, he'd still look a little bit rusty. That's Antonio Pierce's guy. But knowing the Pierce-Jack Jones relationship, remember he was claimed off waivers. He was released by the Patriots. Pierce has known him since he was 13 years old, has coached him in high school, coached him at Arizona State. And every opportunity that Jones has got with Pierce, he's lived up to it. And when he hasn't had Pierce in his life as a mentor, he's really struggled. So I think what you're going to see here is an opportunity for a player that feels like, hey, this is my last hoorah. This is my last chance. It's my last chance to save my NFL career. He's hopefully going to go out there and do everything that he can. But if the Raiders decide to move on from Marcus Peters, Jeremy Chuggs and I are going to try to get live as quick as we possibly can, and we will be live. Right now, the plan is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be breaking down everything there is to know around the Las Vegas Raiders. But one more time here off the top, according to Vic Tafur, Marcus Peters could potentially be released today or at some time this week. Personally, for me, if he's going to be released, you just do it today. The Raiders are going to be on a bye. You have 2 weeks to be able to prepare for the Minnesota Vikings. I know there's not a lot of chances that you can make the playoffs, but if you win out, you're probably in. So the Raiders still control their destiny. You got 2 weeks to be able to get your shit together. Yes, the offense struggled yesterday. The defense struggled yesterday. The whole team struggled a little bit. But you know what? This team is still playing competitive football. They lost to a better team in Kansas City. They lost to a better team in Miami. They beat a team that they're better than in the Jets, and they beat a team that they're better than in the Giants. And if Marcus Peters wants to leave that, hey, you know what? We're probably better off without him. But if Antonio Pierce wants to show that I'm the right man for the job, I'm the next guy that you should hire as head coach, then he needs to get his team ready to go. And sometimes getting rid of a locker room cancer is the best way to do that. All right, y'all. See you a little bit later on. I got to get ready for work now. I got to hop in the shower and get cleaned up because I got a Raiders live show to get ready for. I'll see you guys a little bit later on, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, unless the Raiders outright cut Marcus Peters a little bit sooner than that. Appreciate all y'all and enjoy the rest of your day. If you're looking for more Raiders videos, click this button right here. And then we even got more content that you guys can find over here absolutely for free. And then if you're like, all right, I'm subscribed, I like the content that's over here, you can also find even more Raiders content over here. We're the Raiders Report. We have over 155,000 subscribers for a reason. Why don't you find out why we're the biggest Raiders YouTube channel?